3 days ago, I was eating lunch with my mother, and she was sitting across the table from me, and she said to me, "Dina, I'm ready to go home." I looked at her and I said, "Mom, we're on our way." She said, "Not here." But then she said, and then she stopped. I did not know what she meant by what she was saying, but now I do. We are here today to share our respects and memories of our wonderful friend and family and loved one, Miss Peggy Browning. Peggy was an amazing and outgoing woman who loved life. She took the negative and made it a positive. She never gave up on anything. She always followed her dreams and had love, and she had love for the Lord. She was compassionate, loving, caring, and a very outgoing person. When she walked into a room, the whole room lit up, and everyone stopped to look at her and listen to her laugh. Her bubbly personality is what made her different from other people. And I'm glad to be honored to be the only person in this world to call her mom. My mother was born on April 7, 1947, to my grandparents, Arthur and Madeleine Flowers. They were a very simple family who taught my mama morals and how to respect others. They told her to reach for the mountains and to the highest, to reach her dreams, to make all her dreams come true, and don't let anyone stand in her way. She took this advice and became the woman that she was. At 15, my mom met my father, and they were married. She told me a story about how my dad and her met. She said my dad was walking out of the pool hall one day and he bumped into her and knocked her down. She said she wanted to get up and yell at him, but then she looked into his eyes and she fell in love with him at first sight. From that day on, they was inseparable. They were best friends. Married or not, they were still together. My mom said that she always could depend on my father. No matter what or where or wherever she was, all she had to do was pick up the phone and call him, and he'd be there. Daddy, I want you to know that my mom loved you, and no matter what anyone says, you always remember that she is there for you in your heart and in your memories. She is your best friend, and she always will be, and she'll be standing on the other side of the gate when you go to heaven to welcome you. My mom was my best friend and my hero. I really respect my mom. The woman was so strong because I know, because at the age of 20, she gave birth to a child who had multiple birth defects. This made her become strong, and she held her head up high. Not being able to see me except for 2 hours each weekend for 4 years, and knowing that she had to sign waivers 42 times and did not know if either of those operations would be complete or if I would wake up from them. She was very positive, and she thought that way. She got involved in groups, and she also got involved with clubs, and she became state president of the PTA. She told me that she knew that God wanted her to get involved and stay focused on things instead of going towards some other type of drug or overeating or drinking to keep her relief and her depression down. So that made her strong. She was full of life, of determination, and that's what made me proud to call her my mom. She was my hero. She made me very strong, and she wanted me to be independent. She taught me not to depend on someone, but to depend on myself. I remember a story when I was 6 and I fell at the mall, and my mom came over and started screaming at this woman because this woman was trying to help me, and she looked at the lady and she said, "Let her do it. Let her do it on her own." And I didn't know what she was talking about, but now I do. She made me who I am today. And I always will love my mom. I'll miss my mom, but I know she's in heaven, and that's where she wanted to go. She wanted to go home. I know one thing that I was able to do for my mother, where she would enjoy the rest of her years on this world, and that was to give her her granddaughter, my little Kayla. My little sweet pea is what she used to call her. I remember when I had Kayla, my mom was there holding Kayla, and she started to cry. And as she cried, she would count her little fingers and her little toes. And she said, she's so perfect. She's so perfect. My mom worked so hard to take care of you, Kayla, to take care to spoil you to where you would have a good life. And yes, she did spoil, and yes, we did get the aftermath of Kayla's spoiledness. But my mother loved Kayla. Kayla, you were Mimi's little sweet pea. And don't you ever forget that. Mimi loves you. And you remember what Mimi taught you. And you remember all the little places that you went, the talks, the games. Remember every moment that you shared with her, and pass those on down to your children. One thing I do know that my mom did tell me, she said to always keep going to church and build a good relationship with God. She said this is what makes life complete. He is the one that can make our life complete. We do not do. We can't judge and do what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to follow his path. And I took that advice, and I want to pass that on down to Kayla. Make sure that you stay in touch with God, Kayla, and church. And always remember Antioch is your church home. My mother was a very successful, wonderful, caring mother. She was a businesswoman, and she met a lot of people all over the world. She never took no for an answer. When someone asked her how she felt, she'd smile and laugh and said, I'm doing great. But she would laugh through the laughter. You could see the tears. My mom had a lot of stress that she had to live in, but she was a good woman. And all I can say now is I miss my mom, but I know she's in heaven, and she is one of the angels up there. So before we all leave the day, I just want to say one thing. Thank you for coming, and always remember my mom. Remember Peggy A. Brown, and anything that she's ever touched or left you with or touched your heart with. Always remember that, because she loved each and every one of us. Thank you for coming.